Hey guys, good morning. It's Sunday morning. It's a beautiful day and I'm hoping to get out and fly the Mavic later today. Just waiting for the wind to die down a little. It's a little gusty this morning. But while we're waiting, let's take a look at some new accessories for the aircraft. Okay, the first one to talk about. If you have already seen my video on pre-flight checks, if you haven't, where have you been? You can actually see it up here. You'll notice in that video I used a landing pad, and this is said landing pad. The landing pad is, some people say it's a complete waste of money, other people say they wouldn't fly without it. Me personally, I just like to have it in my backpack. It's not expensive. I think this was under £20. And it's really useful if you're flying in places where there's maybe long grass or some uneven ground, or you just want a simple base to launch your aircraft from. Now, the landing pad itself is obviously a lot bigger than this. It folds up a bit like one of those sunscreen protectors you put in the front of your car. You take it out of the bag and it pops up. Orange on one side, blue on the other, but generally pretty sturdy construction. There's a metal ring that runs all the way around the outside which keeps it nice and taut, and you'll see it's got these loops here which, combined with the pegs that come in there, allow you to stake it down to the ground. Now, the question, do you really need to stake it down to the ground? I haven't needed to yet. Generally, if it's windy enough that it will blow the landing pad away, it's too windy to be flying the aircraft. And I've done some tests. I've had the Mavic hover and sort of move side to side to try and generate some downdraft, and it hasn't blown the landing pad away yet. So I don't really know if you'll need these, but you may want to put them in just to sort of feel secure. Okay, the next one is one that I have been waiting for a long time. They've been on back order for a while from DJI, and that is the neutral density filters. These tiny little filters that clip over the front of the camera on the Mavic and will give you the ability to sort of control the lens a little bit more. Generally very good if you're filming on cloudy days or days with very bright sunshine. So again, tiny, it comes in this little foam container. To be honest, I lost these 2 days after I got it. It took me a week to find them. It's so small and light. But generally, you know, these are a useful thing to have in your bag. If you do a lot of shooting and you're into your photography, then you'll know exactly what neutral density filters are for. You'll know how to use them, but highly recommended. So to fit the ND filters, all you're going to do is take out the filter you want. Obviously try and avoid fingerprints on the filter, but there's 3 little tiny latches there and they go around the camera. Now if you look at the edge of the camera there, you'll see there's a tiny little groove just behind the front of the lens, and that's where they go on. So generally I drop the filter on and just push down, and you'll actually feel it click down. And once it's on, you'll see there, make sure each of these 3 little clips is in place, and that's your ND filter installed. Now say the set comes of a set of 3. You get an ND4, an ND8 and an ND16. And in the UK, that's probably all you're going to need. If you're going to some sunnier climes, then you may want an ND32 and ND64 for filming in very bright sunshine. Certainly if you're going to white sandy beaches or to sort of desert type environments where there is going to be an awful lot of glare, then an ND32 or an ND64 is probably good. But for most people, very useful to have in your bag. The third thing, and actually the fourth thing that I'm going to show you, are something that I bought because I'm about to head off on some international travel and I want to take the aircraft with me. There's been some changes in the US recently that means that you don't have to register your aircraft with the FAA. So my plan is, when I go to the US this week, is to take the Mavic with me. I'm going to be doing a sort of long road trip from Texas to Orlando. It's about a 1,000-mile drive along the top of the Gulf, and I thought I'd take the aircraft with me and hopefully get some nice shots of the beaches and generally some of the nicer parts of that part of the world. So the first thing that I bought was a set of hard shell containers. So these come as a pair, one for the controller, one for the Mavic. These are really quite cheap. I think I paid £10.99 for them from eBay. They zip open. You see the aircraft fits very nicely inside them. And actually, if I just lift that out, you'll see that it's actually cut out at the bottom here for the camera, so it holds the aircraft very snugly, fits in, and it's not too much extra bulk or weight. So this can easily go into the bottom of my rucksack, and I'm not going to be worried about catching the blades or anything else that's getting in there and damaging the aircraft. And then one for the controller. If you remember my previous video on accessorizing your Mavic, linked up top, you remember I bought a little 3D printed piece of plastic that holds the two controller sticks in place. Well, this case solves that for you. So take the controller out, and as you can see up here, there are two divots for the control sticks to go into. So generally what I do is I take the controller, I'll place it in the case with the sticks in the holes, fold that over the top, zip it up, and it's nicely protected inside that. So they will go into my rucksack, and I'll be able to carry them around without any worry that they're going to get damaged or stuff's going to get on the camera lens, or generally they're going to get bashed about. But that still doesn't mean I'm not going to do my pre-flight checks before I take off, even though I know that they're safe and sound inside these boxes. The last thing is a little more controversial, and I've read a lot about these on the internet. Some people say, it is just a scam. Some people say that they're absolutely a must. But I'm going to be taking my aircraft and its 3 batteries on a plane. Now we've all heard about fires, people's batteries and phones catching fire on aircraft. So I bought a set of LIPO safe bags. These are little pouches. They are lined with feels like some sort of metallic material here, but as it says on the thing here, these are LIPO safe, is intended to reduce the chances of damage in the event of a LIPO fire. So the idea is, if for whatever reason your battery catches fire, these bags are supposed to help contain it, and so that you don't just get a roaring fire from them. Now, I haven't heard of anyone say that a Mavic battery has caught fire. I haven't heard any reports that there's even a possibility of it. So you've got to ask, why spend money on these? Well, 3 of them were £10. The bags themselves, they are pretty generic, even though it says for Mavic Pro on the front of them. I would imagine you can put any kind of battery in them. But really, it's about playing the game with the TSA. So if they get funny about you transporting batteries, you're really, by having these, you're saying, look, I'm doing everything I can to mitigate this risk. Now, whether they'll actually work, I don't know. I hope I never have to find out. But I think it's good to show that you're being responsible, and you're doing everything you can if you're going to be transporting these. So again, there is no evidence that these things, or there's any problems with taking them on aircraft. This is really just to show that you're playing the game. But the way the bag works is, you can see there are 2 tabs here. You take the end of the battery that has the connectors on it, and you put that into the bottom of the bag. Then you fold these 2 tabs in, and then you pull the top over and seal it down. And that's it. You chuck it in the bottom of your rucksack, and off you go. And if anybody asks, your batteries are isolated. There's no way that anything's going to short across the terminals, and in theory, if there were to be a LIPO fire, these would help contain it. Or maybe they've helped contain it long enough for somebody to actually come along and extinguish it. But obviously you can't put these in your hold baggage. These have to go in your carry-on bags, and you take them on the aircraft with you, because the last thing you'd want is a fire in the hold and nobody knows anything about it. So that's it. That's the 4 new accessories. As I say, I'm not going to put links to them, because some people put links, and they put Amazon.com links, and other people live in parts of the world. But generally, all of this is available on eBay, with the exception of the DJI filters, which I bought directly from DJI. Everything else I bought from eBay or from Amazon. That's it. That's my 4 new accessories. So I think the wind's dying down. I think it's time to go fly the aircraft. If you have been, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.